Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and it is the hop day this is the hop for the June 2020 release. I'm using the stylized rectangle dies, the scallop stylized rectangle dies, the Watch Out for Cooties set, the banner dies, the two little hearts from that, and our heart layer dies. I'm making a project for our hop today, a card set in a little box. So here we go. I'm going to put together a quick card for you using So Much Pun from Doodlebug, their 6x6 inch pad, and the matching odds and ends. And what I did is I cut out the scalloped rectangle die. I used the Bumblebee gingham linen in the 12-inch. I cut out one of those, and I also cut out the pattern paper with the smaller stitched stylized rectangle, and I cut them in half, and I'm going to layer them on the bottom half of my A2 sized horizontal card. That is a 4.25 by 5.5 inch card, and it's, a horizontal card. I don't really make a lot of these. And I cut out a 1-inch piece of the Beetle Black Dot Stripe 12. I cut a 12-inch strip and I cut it in half at 6 inches, and then I'm applying it to the card. I heat embossed the sentiment Get Well Soon using Ink on 3's Juicy Ink with Ranger's Fine Detail White Embossing Powder, and I heat embossed it using my Marvy gun until it was melted, and I'm just applying it on top of those two die cuts and trimming off the edges with my scissors. And I love how that looked. It gives a nice little layout. I did this for every single card. So I did the same sort of layout there. Now I'm taking out my odds and ends, and I'll be popping up those images just to give them kind of an interesting look over to one side of my design. I'm using the Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. I also use 3M foam tape a bit on this card. So I'm just placing all of my images using my EK Success reverse tweezers, just so I can keep my hands out of the way, and I'll be adding everything. I also cut out my hearts using the banner dies and the heart layer dies, the smallest ones, and I cut out 3 different sizes, and I used the Doodlebug Ladybug gingham linen, the 12-inch, and I cut them out of that. Also, I used both sides for those. So I used either 2 gingham and 1 linen or 2 linen and 1 gingham for the layouts. And I also added a few little pills on each card also. So I really like the look of these little cards. I thought they turned out adorable. Super quick and easy to do. You don't have to be a colorer to use this release. You can use SVG cuts, you can use Doodlebug odds and ends, you can use printables, you can use all sorts of things with Jaded Blossom's designs. Now I'm also using a Sakura white jelly roll pen in a size 10. I'm adding some freckles onto my little images. I also use a black glaze pen to pop the eyes a little bit, give them a little bit of shine and dimension. I'm rounding the upper left-hand corner with my We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper in a 1/2 inch, just to sort of mimic the stylized rectangle dies. And that's it. So I'm moving on to my second card now, doing the exact same thing as I did for the first one. Just applying those shapes to the bottom part of my card with my ATG gun. Now, normally when it came to actually cutting out the pattern paper, it was directional. So I couldn't just cut the whole piece out and then cut it in half like I did with the gingham for the layer with the scalloped shape. I had to actually, cut only half the paper out. So all the pills were facing in one direction with the faces, the same with the little bandages. But if you were using a pattern piece that wasn't directional, it would be really quick. You could just cut out both layers and cut them both in half, and you could stick them all down and Bob's your uncle, you'd be done, eh? And then you could layer them first, then cut them in half, then apply them to your card. That would save a step. But like I said, it was a directional print, so I couldn't do that. So now I'm adding my little bandage, and I'll add my 3 hearts again using my Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. You'll notice that I'm using my Stampin' Up! Pad again underneath. I do use my Ranger Tim Holtz Tonic Studios glass craft mat. Usually when I'm crafting, but when I'm filming, it's kind of shiny, so it for me, I don't really like the look when I'm filming. So that's why I use the white piece of paper. And you know, the crosshatch kind of tells me if I'm in camera, because I'm terrible at that. I constantly move out of the camera. So if you notice me doing stuff off to the side, it's because I've gotten out of camera and I don't know. I'm just learning this still. So here we are. I'm just putting on my little pills and my little capsules. Oh, that's one more heart I'm going to add. I always add things in a group of 3. Just makes it more pleasing to the eye. That one's a little crooked, so I got to fix that one. And I do use my favorite Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue for, you know, applying things a little bit here and there too on this card. So now I'm just applying all of my little pills with the little faces. How cute are those? And I think one of these ones with the bandages, those would be cute to give someone if they've had surgery. And, you know, if they're in the hospital, the ones with all the little pills, that would be cute. So I quite liked how this little set turned out. Sometimes in the old days, I used to avoid coloring because it really wasn't, I really didn't enjoy coloring when I was doing, you know, when I was doing all my designs in the past. I kind of avoided the coloring as much as I could, and I did everything to avoid it. Now I'm kind of starting to like Copic coloring. Don't tell anybody. It's a secret. It took me a while. I had to sort of, you know, amass all of the Copic markers slowly because, you know, they're kind of expensive. And you hate to drop a load on the Copic markers, but I have to say at the same time, they kind of are the best. You can't beat the Copic markers. So I finally gotten the hang of coloring. I'm not a pro, obviously, with the markers, but you know, I'm working on it. But I am really liking finally doing the Copic coloring. Usually I'm you know, stamping out Jaded Blossom's images and cutting them out with my brother Scan and Cut, and then coloring with Copic markers. But this time I thought, no, I'm gonna go back to my old style of card making and use some images. You know, I used to do a lot more SVG cuts. I still do here and there. But, you know, I really quite like using these odds and ends with Jaded Blossom's designs. It's lots of fun. And it makes for a quick bunch of cards that are super cute. And everything matches, right? Because Doodlebug kind of, all their lines kind of go together. All their color families do too. And at the same time, Jaded Blossom releases a lot of adorable stamp sets and dies and sentiments, and now like stencils that are so cute that really does match with a lot of these different companies, their lines, and they're lots of fun to use together because that's kind of my thing. So I just love this little Kleenex box. How cute is this little guy? You gotta love that. So this video is sped up. I think it's sped up at like 1 3/4 because things take me a lot longer than it does, you know, when I'm making a little video for you guys. I'm not the quickest crafter. I'm pretty speedy, but not this speedy, let me tell you. And it was kind of nice not having to color like during a video for you because I'm a real slow colorer. You know, like I said, I'm not a professional at it, that's for darn sure. Even though I've been working at it, trying. Okay, and here we are. I'm just finishing up this last one, and we'll be moving on to this next card here. And basically doing the exact same thing. So with all of these cards for illness, they'd be perfect to send anybody that's homesick. Hopefully no one that you know is homesick with this COVID, although I think numbers are dropping. I know that in our city, I think there's only 2 confirmed cases right now, which is really good. And I think in Ontario, I'm from Ontario, Canada, and we're starting to reopen. We're kind of going on to the second stage. Like the bigger cities really can't, but the smaller places are able to go to the second stage of opening. So things, I think, I don't know if it's Friday or Monday, don't quote me, you know, hair salons and nail places and that will be reopening. Thank goodness, because my hair I need a haircut. I don't know about you, but I need a haircut. Although I was glad to give up the haircuts to keep everybody healthy in my house, but and of course my parents. But got Gotta get a haircut, and I really need to go for a pedicure. My goodness. And it's sandal weather. You need to get a pedicure. You don't want to scare anybody in the summer. Especially because I spend a lot of time in the summer down at camp on the weekends. And like, you know, you're down at the beach and you kind of want to wear sandals. And you don't want some yucky looking feet while you're at the beach. So here we are. We're finishing up this card here. And how cute is this? It was super simple to do this card set. And hopefully, you know, anybody with any, you know, anybody could make these cards. Doesn't take any kind of talent or skill. Well, I don't think you really need a lot of skill to make all these cards. You can have a lot of fun and make cards, and people will love them. They don't know if you're a professional or not. They just like getting something homemade from you. And I'm kind of adding to my stash right now because I kind of like to get a bunch of these cards all made. And then you're able to, you know, have them ready for when you need them. Because, you know, you don't want to be making a card last minute when you need it, right? So here we go. So that's about it. That's all finished up here. And I'm going to be moving on to my my gift box for these cards that I made. I used the handled gift box die, and I cut that out in the white paper tray ink cardstock. And now I'm just applying the layers to this image. And I cut out the 1-inch strip again, and I cut out the layering piece from the handled gift box, and I apply that to my gift box too. I also use the medical dies from Jaded Blossom, and I cut out a piece of black American Crafts cardstock with the little heartbeat die, and I'm applying that to the front of the yellow piece. And I love how that turned out. It just looks super graphic and awesome. I use basically all the same materials because you want your card box to match the card set that you're giving in it. And I also use the little tiny sentiment that also came from the So Much Puns set. There's a sheet that has all the sentiments on it, and I cut that out, layered it with a little piece of black cardstock, and then I popped it up on a scalloped square die from Jaded Blossom. I also cut out our bow dies with our Jaded Blossom bow dies using the same red gingham paper from Doodlebug. And I use my Teflon bone folder to sort of just bend the paper so you get a nice, loopy bow. I always use a glue dot in the center of my bow and fold them in. And I actually cut the tails in half and applied them to the back so they look like the tails are hanging down. I quite like the look of that. Now also my little sentiment, like I said, I applied, I cut the sentiment square out, then I stuck it down on a piece of black cardstock cut into a square, just slightly larger, and then I applied the scalloped square die to the back of that, and I popped it up over the heartbeat image. I think it turned out pretty cute, and then I'm adding my little bow on top. And I love how that turned out. I used the Doodlebug enamel shapes, one of their black enamel dots to go in the center of my bow, just to give it a cute little center. And isn't that cute? It's Sneeze the Day, it says. So, you could fill that up with like some stuff for, if you're sick, you can put some antibacterial hand soap in there. You can put some Kleenexes, some cough drops, what have you. I'm going to be putting all my cards in there, and I'll be calling it a day. So hopefully you like what I came up with for the hop. Make sure to hop along with us at Jaded Blossom because everyone has some great inspiration using this awesome release, the June 2020 release from Jaded Blossom. Thank you so much for stopping by and making a card set with me today. And I hope to see you soon. Bye, everyone.